G'day, I'm Neil and my handle is Wiley11. I'm just going to put my disclaimer here. Whatever I do and say on these videos is well-intentioned and well-meaning advice. I accept no liabilities whatsoever for any disclosures. If you take some advice or act on something that I'm saying on these videos, you do so entirely at your own risk. I'm doing it based on my experience. These videos are my attempt to give back to YouTube for the help and assistance that YouTube has given me. So once again, you follow along or follow advice from these videos entirely at your own risk. Okay, and if you're not happy to do that, click this off and off you go. Because this is purely my attempt to give back to YouTube, as I said, for the help and advice that I have received out of YouTube. So this is just my little attempt to give back. If you're happy to follow along at your own risk, buckle up, sit in. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I did a YouTube. Quite a few things have gone on in life. I got crook, my mum passed away. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on around me, and YouTubing, well, it's just all taken a back seat. I've got a couple of 100 hours of footage that I've taken over that time, mostly to do with building the 3D printer. And what I wanted to do was post that and organise it. But I wanted to do it in a structured way, because what I've done is made quite a few mistakes in building my 3D printer. And what I hope to do is to do a little montage of the mistakes and explain what's about to go wrong, show you what went wrong, then what I should have done. And sort of in the what I should have done, give you the had I done this, I probably would have saved a couple of weeks or a couple of days or a couple of hours. And you know what? There were some things I did right too. And those things I want to highlight, because what I've done is I've improved the safety of my device, and I think that that bears highlighting. It should be highlighted. Righto, so strap on in, let's get into it. Right, so the first highlight of the mistakes I want to get into is this little doogie over here. In the box was this little USB stick with a data card on it. Now I thought this was to go in the data card that's on the unit, right? And it would contain drivers and things for that. It actually contains all of the information you need to build your printer. So don't ignore any little data sticks or anything like that that you get with the kit. You should plug them into your computer and look at what's on them, and look very thoroughly at everything that's on them. Because had I done that, the following fiasco would not have occurred. And in the wrap-up of the fiasco, I think I'm going to tell you just exactly how much time this cost me. So if you get a data stick or a data card or a cheat sheet or anything, make sure you read it. Okay, so in this bit of footage that's coming up, I'm trying to organise my thoughts, but you can see from the way that I'm presenting that I'm actually quite crook. What happened with me is I started to bleed internally and I lost all of my energy. And you can see it's hard for me to focus, and it's hard for me to keep myself sorted and talking about what I'm trying to say in the process. So that's partly to blame for some of the decisions I made too. I pushed through all of this and just kept moving. And, I make no apologies for how I'm presenting and what I'm saying. So it'll give you an idea of what I've had to overcome the last few months, to get to a result for anything. And, I'm feeling a lot better now, but some things have happened. I've had an operation, and some things have happened that they didn't find anything in the operation but not finding anything suggested to me that the problem had sorted itself out, and that, you know, perhaps I should just get on with it. And so I did. I sort of got on with it, but I had to push through all this sluggishness and this problem of having zero energy to do anything. And you'll see that in the video. So I'm now going to talk about the actual intro to this segment. And you look at where I am now to what I was like when I actually recorded this. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm not really sure where this video is going to go. I wanted to do something on the 3D printer build today. I wanted to do a little montage of the problems that I faced during the build. I've got plenty of footage. So what I might do is dig through that footage and put it all at the start to tell you what could be done to make that build go a lot simpler than it went. Now, I don't know what I can do at this point to I don't even know what I'm going to say at this point. Snip, snip, snips. How about I have a bit of coffee? How about that? Let's get the brain switched on. All right, so I guess the title of this build is going to be 3D printer bloopers, build bloopers, and why I had the problem and what I did to overcome it. And I guess if I put this at the start of the build, a lot of you, and then I put the series of building, and then you can come back to the start and review it and see how it all fit together. If all you're looking to do is to build your i3 from your kit that you got from China or from wherever, this is the Prusa I3 Tronxy, Tronxy, and my system is now calibrated and leveled and ready to rock. It's interesting what I've had to do to get to this position of working, and the biggest problem I think that I had was that I didn't look hard enough at the material, at all of the clues that came in the kit, right? I didn't look hard enough. And this little USB stick that they gave me, I ignored. I thought this was a freebie, you know, sort of complimentary thing. But on this stick was a bunch of information, right? And I ignored this. I went back to the manufacturer and asked him to send me, I said it was missing, you know, there was no information with the kit. And he sent me to a website, and that was fine, but the website was a Chinese website. So some of the instructions were in Chinese, and it ended up being useful from the pictures, but not as useful as it could have been if I'd gone to this and got the English version of everything. Communication with your supplier is key. There's no substitute for good communication. And when you talk with the Chinese, they mean very well. They do. They try very, very hard to keep you happy, because their business depends on that, and there are too many of them competing for your business. And this thing here, if I'd looked at that, I would have saved myself a lot of grief. But that said, right, so you can see from that video, I was really crook. I feel a lot better now, as I said, but at that point in my life, I had no energy. You can just tell how hard it was for me to get things done. So let's keep moving forward, and I'm going to now try to show you some examples of what not reading that not reading the directions on the stick cost me. So if at first you don't succeed, try again. I've gone back through the stick, USB stick, and I've found some more files which weren't there in the download. Rightio. Is at this link here. The supplier sent me this set of instructions, and the problem is I don't have a RAR extractor, so I've gone for an online archive extractor, and hopefully when this comes back I'll be able to see what these files are and get some kind of instruction set for putting the printer together. So that's what we're up to at the moment. As you can see, there's an instructional video how to assemble. This looks like fun. Okay, so here it is as a zip file. Let's I'm just going to extract it right here. I always pop the zip back into the original folder. Operating instructions, pictures and video. Assemble. Let's have a quick look at this video. Righto, so to this point I've wasted 3 days of backwards and forwards with the supplier trying to work out how to get to that file and that particular website, which by the way you saw the link up in the top of the screen there, so we'll make sure that that gets highlighted if you've lost your stick. But had I looked at the stick I would have saved 3 days right there. Now the other thing about this was I didn't go through every file. I found the instructional video and there I stopped looking. Had I looked a bit harder I would have seen a hard copy PDF document in there which actually tells you the bits that don't come up on the instructional video, which I found to my chagrin later on. So the instructional PDF actually shows you how to mount the brackets for the switches that don't come up on the actual video. They actually give you good pictures of where the wires go and how to run things, which don't come up on the instructional video. So all of those things would have been solved straight up had I looked at that first, but I didn't. Of course, I ploughed on. So I'm ploughing on. Righto, so I think all up, this little exercise of not going through all of that paperwork and documentation correctly cost me probably about 2 weeks of build, right? About 2 weeks. But they did some things wrong too, and now we're going to talk about the screws and the fact that there were no washers with anything. So let's get on to that. Now this was their cock up, not mine, and I want to go through and talk about, you know, what that cost me in terms of, you know, time. Let's just talk about that. Okay, so what I'm doing, as you can see, is I've got my system open here. I've got my smaller Ziploc bags, and at the moment I'm just picking out the different sizes of these are actually hex bolts, not hex bolts, Phillips bolts. So they're in different sizes. As you can see, there's that size, hope you can see, and then there's that size, and all I'm doing is sorting them by size and putting them in this bag. But then there's these as well, so there's another size there, another size there, So you see where I'm coming from. There's all these different sizes of stuff that are given. And as you put your hand on it, you want it all kind of sorted out. So there's those. Of course, you've got all these really big nuts that you're getting in your road. See, everything's getting in your road, so you want it kind of sorted out roughly. Get the bigger items out of your bag, and then you're down to your little items, and I guess it makes it easier to sort out when the big stuff's been pulled out first. So that's all those. They can all go straight into a Ziploc if they fit. These are all reused, alright? All of these are recycled. I keep them for this reason, that you can put your little bits and pieces in them and recycle your bag. I don't know if I'm out of shot here. I can't see the viewfinder on this camera. Rightio, so there you go. Those are all in one bag, ready for the assembly. Right, so we're just going to continue this process. I'm not going to make you sit through all of it, but we're going to put all these screws into their various sizes, and what we'll then be left with is all of these little buggers here, all them, all the little nuts. So let's just keep going with this. I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm not going to make you suffer through me sorting out screws and whatnot, and I'll come back when we're done. Right, so the first issue I came across with the hardware was that it was all bundled in one kind of plastic bag with a bit of tape around it. And in the next part of the video, what I'm doing is I'm actually saving myself some time by sorting all the components into little Ziploc plastic bags, like components all in the same bag, so that if I go to find a screw, I can find the exact screw I need in the right bag I need. So that little exercise cost me about an hour and a half, and it probably saved me days. So that was the first good tip for moving through. So I'm just going to put up a short video of me doing that. Now, all the while I was doing that job, I didn't find a single small washer for anything. And I immediately felt that was wrong, because with my engineering background, I know that when you put a rounded surface against an acrylic hole, you're going to get microfractures around the hole, and they're going to crack, and eventually they're going to go through the acrylic. They're going to expose a weakness somewhere. So you really do need to put washers on from every bolt that's going through it. It needs a washer, so that you've got a nice big flat surface hitting the surface of the acrylic, not a restricted rim hitting a rounded surface, which is putting pressure on that rim. It'll fracture, and that little fracture will turn into, one day with vibration, a big fracture. So every single bolt that went into that build got a little 3mm washer on it, an M3, and they were stainless as well. I made sure they were stainless steel. So the hardware that's in that build is probably as good as it gets. Okay, so we're back again. What I want to do is show you something real quick. I'm just going to pull this bolt here out and see whether I can zoom in on that. Or maybe I can zoom in on the bottom one. Let's see. I'm not real good at this camera stuff. Let's see whether we can do it. Here we go, zooming in. I don't know how well that's focusing, but what I can see there is a ring around the hole where microfractures in the perspex have already opened up. Does everyone see that? There's a lot of reflective stuff going on. Let's see if I can show you this one. Focus. It's not focusing. Hang on. We'll zoom it back out. Oh, there you are. You can see it there. So what I'm talking about is this little ring. Let's get in. I'm not good with cameras, am I? But there's a little ring that formed around the bottom of the perspex. No, this should be clear. It's right there. See that ring? Like, here's a hole that doesn't have the ring, and here's a hole that we've used and it's got the ring. See? So what we're going to do is we're going to do this. We're going to put these washers on the outside, and we're at plan B because the washers, those things there, don't fit into the rebates at the back. So we're going to just put... Okay, so there you had the consequence of why I decided to use the washers. I actually did a run up to the nut and bolt place at Diner, and I've got his details somewhere. I'll find the video where I've got his card, and I'll put that in real quick just here. Righto, so I'm back from the nut and bolt place. Camera battery's charged. Be able to put it in the camera. There's the two samples I took up there. There's the bag of washers. I took my own Ziploc bag up, so it's been recycled. No pollution in terms of packaging. He was happy, I was happy, because he even gave me a bit of a discount because I took my own baggie in for him to put the washers in. So it actually cost me less for that than it cost me for the fuel in my little 50cc motorbike to go to the place and buy it. How's that? Now this is what I mean about specialist stores, and I want to give him a shout out. So let me just get his business card. He's been around for a long time. He's moved positions, I think, twice. But I mean, these are original Gold Coast business, and they're called Build It Fasteners, right? And that's Zach. And now I've got his card again, and I can remember who he is. But Build It Fasteners over at Diner. Right, so just to clarify, what's going on is we decided to use the washers only on the front. We couldn't get them to fit into the back, but the back had the nuts, and the nut flat surface was the part in contact with the acrylic, not the rounded surface. So it had good purchase, not a single point of contact on a rim. It had the whole flat of the nut against the acrylic. So I wasn't concerned about the nuts, I was concerned about the bolts. So every bolt that went into the build got a washer, an M3 stainless steel washer. Okay, let's continue. What to talk about next? Look, I had real problems calibrating. I basically did the whole build, and then there was this whole swag of videos of me trying to calibrate the printer and connect it to the computer. So I've got something like, I don't know, 30 hours of footage of going through the process of calibrating and connecting the printer to the computer. And it's still not 100%. It does play up from time to time, and there are a couple of little things that we've still got to solve there. But basically, you'll save yourself a lot of trouble if you connect your printer to your computer and control it from your computer first. Get that working. Don't worry about calibration. Just make sure your control software is up and running before you even think about calibrating your printer. So let's do some footage of the final things with that. So in editing this footage of bloopers, it turns out I've got 3 hours of footage, which is too long to post as a single video. So I'm going to break it into 4 parts. So this is the end of this part, and I want you to like and subscribe to my channel, to my video, and support my company, nightglowmanufacturing.com. Make good decisions, do good things, and keep on swinging at it, and you'll get there. Righto, see you for the next part in a few minutes.